When we talk about serial killers, the ones that really send shivers down your spine are those who show zero remorse. These are the killers who don't offer a single apology, and at their trials, it's as if they take pride in not feeling a thing. It's like they get a twisted kick out of being so heartless. We're looking at the most chilling characters who not only refuse to apologize to their victims' families but seem to revel in their terrible deeds. So, stick with us as we explore the minds of these remorseless monsters, and trust me, it's as intriguing as it is horrifying. Number 1. Dennis Rader, better known as the BTK, killer for his method of bind, torture, kill, lived a double life that shocked those around him when his crimes came to light. A Boy Scout leader and church deacon, Rader was arrested in 2005 for a series of brutal murders spanning from 1974 to 1991 in Wichita, Kansas. Despite his seemingly ordinary suburban life, Rader was responsible for 10 murders, eluding capture for decades while taunting the police with cryptic messages. In a disturbing account during his trial, Rader coldly described the meticulous setup of one of his crimes. "We moved them to the bathroom. She helped me. Then I tied the door shut. We put some toys and blankets and odds and ends in there for the kids to make them as comfortable as we could. Tied one of the bathroom doors shut so they couldn't open it, then we shoved. She went back and helped me shove the bed against the other bathroom door. Then I proceeded to tie her up. She got sick, threw up. I got her a glass of water, comforted her a little. Then I went ahead and tied her up and put a bag over her head and strangled her." This chilling testimony highlights Rader's cruel precision and lack of empathy. His dual existence, appearing as a community member while secretly being a serial killer, left his family and neighbors in disbelief. Rader's case remains one of the most disturbing examples of hidden malice lurking behind a mask of normalcy, revealing the frightening depth of his detachment and calculated brutality. Number 2. Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, brought a wave of terror to Southern California in 1985. Born in Texas, his early life was marred by exposure to violent imagery and stories from his cousin, a Vietnam vet. This set the stage for his descent into darkness. Ramirez's crimes were vicious and varied, ranging from shootings and stabbings to unimaginable acts of sexual violence. His attacks seemed random, which kept the entire region on edge. When Ramirez was finally caught and convicted of multiple felonies, including 13 murders, he showed absolutely no remorse. In court, he famously declared, "You don't understand me. You are not expected to. You are not capable of it. I am beyond your experience. I am beyond good and evil." He claimed that he was avenging wrongs and that Satan was a part of us all. His cold, chilling words and lack of remorse made his crimes even more horrifying. Richard Ramirez's story is a stark reminder of the depths to which a human can fall and the dark side of human nature that can be cultivated under certain influences. His crimes and his courtroom declaration have been subjects of study and discussion as people strive to understand what drives such a disregard for human life. Number 3. Stephen Griffiths was born on December 24, 1969, in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire. His early life was marked by several challenges, including difficulties with mental health and behavior that would eventually play a role in his criminal activities. Stephen Griffiths was a PhD student in criminology at Bradford University in England, but his academic pursuits masked darker intentions. Born in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire, Griffiths struggled with mental health issues from a young age and had a history of violent behavior. This background set the stage for his horrifying actions later in life. He was deeply fascinated by notorious serial killers, particularly the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, whom he aspired to emulate. This obsession would eventually manifest in a brutal series of crimes that shook the local community. In 2009, Griffiths committed 3 murders that earned him the chilling moniker the Crossbow Cannibal. His crimes were not only gruesome but also marked by a disturbing theatricality. After his arrest, CCTV footage surfaced showing Griffiths in his apartment building's hallway, where he flaunted his weapon and gestured defiantly at the camera following the murder of his final victim, 36-year-old Suzanne Blumyears. During his trial, Griffiths openly confessed to the killings, detailing how he dismembered his victims in his bathtub and consumed parts of their flesh. His willingness to divulge these gruesome details seemed driven by a desire for infamy, mirroring the notorious figure he idolized. This case left an indelible mark on the community and remains a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. Number 4. Joseph Paul Franklin, a neo-Nazi serial killer who claimed numerous lives in racially motivated attacks, exhibited chilling detachment during his trial. Born James Clayton Vaughn Jr., Franklin changed his name to honor Benjamin Franklin and Paul Joseph Goebbels. He began his violent spree in 1977, ultimately becoming infamous not only for the murders but also for shooting Larry Flynt, the publisher of Hustler magazine, who survived the attack. Franklin's lack of remorse was stark. In court, he said, "I felt like I was at war. The survival of the white race was at stake. I consider it my mission, my 3-year mission. Same length of time Jesus was on his mission, from the time he was 30 to 33. This statement reflects his diluted justification for his crimes, viewing them as a war for racial purity rather than the cold-blooded murders they were. Franklin was sentenced to death and was executed in November 2013, never deviating from his hateful ideology. Number 5. John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer who also performed as a children's party clown, committed his horrific acts in suburban Chicago from 1972 to 1978. He was responsible for the murders of 33 young men and boys. Gacy would entice his victims with offers of construction work or party invitations to his home. Once there, they were subjected to rape, torture, and ultimately murder, with most victims buried in the crawlspace under his house. The alarming pattern of disappearances eventually led authorities to Gacy after a concerned mother reported her son missing, last seen with him. This investigation uncovered the full, grim extent of his crimes, shocking the community, especially given Gacy's outward persona as a respected local businessman and community member. During his trial, Gacy recanted his initial confession and made a grim joke that he was only guilty of running a cemetery without a license. He was found guilty of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death, being executed in 1994. Gacy's defiant final words were, "Kiss my ass," showcasing his remorseless nature until the end. Number 6. Albert Fish, known as the Gray Man, was a horrifying figure in American criminal history, active during the early 20th century in New York State. Between 1924 and 1934, Fish committed a series of gruesome acts, believed to be responsible for as many as 10 murders, although he was officially convicted for 3. His crimes were not only limited to murder but extended to severe forms of masochism and cannibalism. Fish's most notorious crime involved the murder of 10-year-old Grace Budd in 1928. He lured the young girl under the guise of attending a birthday party, only to brutally kill and cannibalize her. His perverse actions were detailed in a letter he shockingly sent to the girl's mother, where he described killing and eating her daughter with relish and noted the disturbing detail of how he found her flesh sweet and tender. Throughout his trial, Fish displayed a chilling lack of remorse, boasting about his deeds and claiming to have had a child in every state. His sadistic pleasure in his crimes was palpable, and he even referred to his execution as the supreme thrill of my life. Sentenced to die by the electric chair, Fish met his end in 1936 at Sing 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 Prison in Ossining, New York, leaving behind a legacy that epitomizes the depths of human depravity. His story remains one of the most perverse examples of criminal psychology and highlights the darkest potentials of human behavior. Number 7. Joanna Dennehy stands out as a particularly chilling figure in the annals of British crime. In March 2013, she committed the murders of 3 men in Peterborough, England. What makes her case especially notorious is not only her gender, female serial killers are rare, but also her demeanor throughout the legal proceedings. Dennehy pled guilty, which eliminated the need for a prolonged trial. However, during her court appearances, she displayed a shocking lack of remorse. Reports from the courtroom described her as smirking and laughing while the charges against her were read, and at one point, she audaciously yelled bitches in the courtroom. This brazen attitude did not endear her to the court, and perhaps it was with some relief to the public that she received a full life sentence, a rare and severe punishment in the UK. She is one of only 3 women in the country's history to be sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release. The judge's decision reflects the gravity of her crimes and the perceived danger she poses to society. Number 8. Lawrence Bittaker, one half of the infamous duo known as the Toolbox Killers, terrorized the Los Angeles area in the late 1970s. Alongside Roy Norris, Bittaker kidnapped, raped, and brutally murdered 5 young women using tools from a toolbox, which horrifically included implements like pliers. The gruesome nature of their crimes marked them as some of the most chilling in American criminal history. Captured and tried, Bittaker showed a disturbing lack of remorse during his court appearances. Witnesses and reports noted that he often appeared jovial and defiant, even laughing as the gruesome details of his crimes were laid bare before the court. This chilling demeanor only added to his monstrous image. He reportedly signed his correspondence from prison as Lawrence Pliers Bittaker, a macabre nod to the tools used during his heinous acts. Ultimately, Bittaker was sentenced to death and spent his remaining years on California's death row. His case remains a stark reminder of the depths of depravity human beings can reach and the enduring scars left on communities by such acts of violence. Number 9. H.H. Holmes, often dubbed America's first serial killer, was a notorious figure in the 1890s, especially around the time of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. His real name was Herman Webster Mudgett, and he is infamously known for constructing a massive, elaborate building later referred to as the Murder Castle. This building was a labyrinth of secret passages, trapdoors, soundproof rooms, and a basement equipped for all manners of macabre activities, including dissections and disposals of bodies. Holmes's victims were primarily women, though not exclusively, many of whom were lured to his hotel under the guise of employment or a place to stay during the fair. The exact number of his victims remains unknown, with Holmes himself confessing to 27 murders, although some estimates suggest the number could be much higher. Captured and tried for his heinous crimes, Holmes met his end by hanging in 1896. His last words were emblematic of his chilling nature. He declared, "Yes, I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing." This statement highlighted his lack of remorse and chilling detachment from the gruesome reality of his actions. Holmes's life and crimes have since become the stuff of legend, contributing to his lasting notoriety as a symbol of early American criminality. Number 10. William MacDonald, known as the Sydney Mutilator, was a notorious Australian serial killer responsible for the brutal murders of multiple men in the early 1960s. His modus operandi involved stabbing his victims to death before mutilating their genitals, a horrifying signature that shocked the nation. During his trial, MacDonald's recounting of his gruesome acts was so graphic that it reportedly caused jurors to faint, a testament to the chilling nature of his crimes. His apparent relish in reliving the details of his killings painted a picture of a deeply disturbed individual devoid of any remorse. This reaction from MacDonald not only sensationalized the media coverage, but also likely influenced the judge's decision to hand down a life sentence, recognizing him as a severe and ongoing threat to society. MacDonald spent the remainder of his life behind bars, dying in prison at the age of 90. His case remains one of the most disturbing chapters in Australian criminal history, often cited as an example of the extreme dangers posed by psychopathic personalities in society. As we conclude our chilling journey through the minds and actions of some of history's most remorseless killers, it's clear that the darkness within these individuals is more than just a footnote in criminal history. It's a stark reminder of the complexities of human nature. Each story we've shared today reflects a profound absence of empathy and a disturbing fascination with cruelty. But our exploration doesn't end here. The depths of human behavior are vast and often uncharted, and there are more stories to tell and more lessons to be learned. So stay tuned and continue to join us as we delve deeper into the shadows, seeking to understand what drives such darkness and what it reveals about the human condition. Your engagement and curiosity make these investigations possible, and together, we'll keep seeking the answers that lie in the darkest corners of the mind. Thank you for being part of this journey. If you're intrigued and want to support our work or suggest what we should explore next, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. Your interaction helps us bring more of these deep dives into the world's most disturbing topics. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.